This is my dad's cap. That he casquette. I'll use the word casquette in French. Okay. For me, success means reclaiming the dignity that my parents lost when they became immigrants and refugees in France, back from Ukraine when my father came in 1929. Why this casquette is the one that my dad wore every day. He came to France in 29 as a contract farm laborer. He was 18, didn't know a word of French, was given a room above the stables, and had to get up every morning at 4 a.m., in the summer particularly, to sweep the yard before doing other farm chores. And his boss, the owner of the farm, tested him for his honesty. And he started throwing a franc on the ground, on the yard, and watched behind the window and to see if my father would give him the francs. So my father realized this game, and first time he swept the ground, he picked up the money and he said, "Monsieur Perard, your money," and he gave it to him. And then it started again and again, and then my father, second time, "Monsieur Perard, your money," and gave it to him. And the third time, fourth time, my father got really tired of it. "Monsieur Perard, merci beaucoup." So this is one of the stories I heard as the daughter of immigrants. Immigrants met at my place, and you may have seen paintings by Korelek, who depicted very well, very sensitively, the life of immigrants. So discrimination was a daily occurrence. My parents were, and we had immigrants met at our place, a small house in a small village of the Champagne region in France, and we would eat and drink and sing, and they would tell stories of discrimination. It was like a little carnival. They were kind of making fun of their bosses. It was their kind of carnivalesque revenge. My parents were passionate about education, the education they themselves yearned for but could not access because of the wars. Their dream of success was to see their two daughters become the teachers in the primary school of our village. When I was 6, my primary school teacher, Madame Baudard, came to my parents' house and said, "We have to do something with this girl. I will take care of her." And she did until her death. Mentorship is absolutely essential to me. As a small farmer, Dad always wore that casquette to work in the fields. Every night he would go outside, lift his casquette, scratch his head, look at the sky, and prepare for his work the next day consequently. To make ends meet, he worked 2 jobs. The second as a farm helper in Saint-Hilaire, a small village a few kilometers away. Riding his rickety old bike on his way back from work through the woods, he would stop and fill his casquette with wild fruits and bring it to the kids at home. There were 2 of us. I went to an excellent boarding school and was offered a very comfortable scholarship. My first purchase, a moped for that. One weekend, I came home from the boarding school and told my parents that it was too much work. I was tired of it. Dad said, "It's education or this?" And this was a hoe. The hoe was used to thin 12 acres of sugar beet seedlings for neighboring farmers every spring to earn a few francs. 20 centimeter space, 1 seedling. 20 centimeter space, 1 seedling, and bending over all day long, and for 12 acres, that took a long time. After 3 hours of back-breaking work, I threw the hoe, and that was the first and last time he heard me complain about schoolwork. I was selected to pursue my studies in Paris at the Sorbonne with a generous scholarship year after year until I earned my doctorate. On the day of my defense, I came back home from Paris, and my father, who was a man of few words, with pride in his eyes, put his casquette on top of my head. He hooded me that day. Why do you think I became a professor of French? And why do you think mentorship of students, junior colleagues? Why participatory action research with immigrant and refugee women? Why the philosophy of Mikhail Bakhtin and Charles Taylor have become very important to me? Why I translate my master's war memoirs today? Why I believe in education for all, and free education, and healthcare, of course. I'm French after all. So it has everything to do with this casquette. Today, villagers of Auberive, my village, became caring They became caring neighbors of my parents and watched over them until they passed away. I'm still in touch with all of them. Don't bear grudges. And they opened a bottle of champagne, just this is because of that, every time I visit them for 46 years now. Because of what that casket means to me, I keep it in my home office. I even stitched it as a hole, my father stitched it himself. It reminds me of the values, the sense of duty and affection, and many laughters that my family and our immigrant friends have shared with me. And this is their success. Thank you.